Katt? Katt? Your mic's not on. Hey Katt, your mic's not on. We can't hear you. Katt! Well, I guess I'm taking this one. Hello everybody, and welcome to A Miser Brothers Christmas. Released in 2008, this movie was made as yet another TV movie for ABC Family for their 25 Days of Christmas specials. It was also made to be more faithful to the Rankin Bass films, as both Mickey Rooney and George Irving reprised their roles as Santa and Heat Miser respectively. Sadly, Dick Shawn would not come back to reprise his part as Snow Miser, as he had died sometime after the original film. So his role is played by Jean Sheeran. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He does a pretty good job with the material he's given, and in my opinion is entertaining without being overly cringy like Sparky and Heat Miser were in the 2006 adaptation. And that's enough of the intro. Let's go. We begin with Mrs. Claus pacing around a room, with a big fight going on outside. Like most scenes of this ilk, we'll find out what's going on outside later on. Also, similar to the original film, Mrs. Claus takes a more prominent role in the film and narrates parts of the story, including after some of the commercial break cuts. It's nice to see her in a similar vein to the original after the last movie we looked at all but cut her contributions out completely. Back to the film, we then transition to an introduction sequence as we go through Santa's workshop. The credits are shown to us in various ways, including clocks, presents, equipment, etc. It's all done very well, and the design of the workshop and machinery is creative and appealing. A plane flies out of a window, as we are taken outside where we see elves, reindeer, and finally Santa.
It's Christmas time! Ho, 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 ho!
He boards a snowmobile with Bob, the head elf, who tells him things are going well in toy production. Considering what has seemingly changed between this movie and the original special, I'm guessing this takes place many years later, as Jingle and Jangle don't make an appearance.
Ho, ho, ho! Easy there, little fella. I got you. You'll be leading my sleigh in no time.
We then cut to a garage, where another elf, Tinsel, is working on a new super sleigh.
How's that new super sleigh of yours coming?
Well, sir, it just needs to be tested.
We have no idea if this new contraption is even safe.
Well, I know one way to find out.
We get to the end of the song they were singing earlier, and then we cut to the Miser brothers, who are on their way to the family reunion. They're about to fight when Mother Nature stops them and summons them to her domain, where the rest of their siblings are waiting.
Let's have the total report on the balance of nature. We'll need to hear from the tides, lightning and thunder, earthquake, all of my children.
I find it funny how at least half of the dudes at this table are just Heat Miser but different elements.
Water, earth, fire, air. Long ago.
One person who isn't, however, is North Wind, who decides to go first with his report on the wind patterns. He kisses up to Mother Nature and gives his report, the Miser brothers showing their disdain for him. Then he brings up his concern.
Well, Mother, it's the children, the good children of the world. What if, heaven forbid, something should happen to Santa Claus? What if he was not able to deliver presents on Christmas?
Something happened to Santa? I don't even like to think about it. But if it did happen, the North Pole does fall under your territory.
Wasn't the North Pole Snow Miser's territory last time? Or did he have it taken away as a punishment or something? Also, wouldn't Mrs. Claus take over if Santa passed away? She's next of kin and would know more about Santa's operation than anyone else. From a logic standpoint, no matter which territory the North Pole falls under, neither North Wind nor Snow Miser would have any say in running the place. Speaking of, it's now the Miser brothers' turn to give their report, and it goes about as well as you'd expect. Mother Nature puts a stop to their nonsense and berates them for their behavior, saying that even though they're opposites, they can't exist without each other. She gets them to clean up as North Wind looks menacingly at the North Pole on the globe, which transitions into Santa's castle the next day, where they're getting ready for their test flight. He takes off, and then we see North Wind spying on him and sending his breezies to do him in, telling them to make it look like an accident. We cut to the Miser brothers getting on each other's grills again, as they first bicker about blocking each other's views and winds, respectively, and then it turning into an actual fight with cannons and catapults. Yet another creative choice I can stand behind.
I just passed 5,000 feet.
Take it easy, Pa. No loops now, you hear?
Of course not, Ma. Wouldn't think of it.
Things are going well on the flight, until the breezies fly underneath without detection and loosen a couple bolts from the bottom of the sleigh. Moments later, bits of the sleigh break off and he begins to rapidly descend. The Miser brothers spot him, and they stop fighting to let him pass, only to see his crash landing. They assume it was their fault, and so does everyone else. Santa lands and is fine thanks to Tinsel telling him about the emergency parachute, but has injured his back in the impact, which means he can't deliver presents on Christmas.
Tinsel, it's not your fault. Maybe if I'd made the sleigh stronger, or if I'd put some more of the thing under the...
No, Tinsel. There are only 2 people to blame for all this.
That's right, Mrs. Claus. And I'm going to see to it that they get the punishment they deserve. Care to join me?
Mother Nature takes Mrs. Claus and Tinsel back to her domain and scolds her sons for hurting Santa. North Wind comes along, claiming to hear about the news, and saying he's ready to take over. But since Santa is fine, he doesn't have to do that, much to his annoyance. He won't be taking Santa's place this Christmas either, because Mother Nature has other ideas.
Agree to what, exactly?
Agree to force Heat Miser and Snow Miser to put aside their differences and work together to take Santa's place this year. What do you say, Mrs. Claus?
I think a good question would be why, but she explains that learning about Christmas while doing Santa's duties will do them some good, while not explaining that it's, as far as they know, their fault, so they need to make it up to him in any way they can. Mrs. Claus shows concern, but goes along with it anyway. As they're talking, North Wind flies away to his castle and sings about how he's going to take over Christmas.
I'll be number 1. I'll get the job done. I'll fire the elves and do it all by myself. Hey, I won't need a sleigh. Send the reindeer away. I don't really care as long as it's me who's there.
He's not the best singer, but the song is enjoyable enough and has appealing visuals to complement it. Back at the North Pole, the Miser brothers get ready to take Santa's role and begin to bicker again. Bob stops them in an attempt to get them back on track with running things, but the two have additional plans.
Chop, chop!
By the way, we learned through the credits and a special feature on the DVD that Snow Miser's minions are called Flakes, and North Wind's are Breezes, as mentioned earlier. But we never learn what Heat Miser's minions are called, so for the purposes of this review, I'll be referring to them as Cinders. The Flakes and Cinders begin to take over for the elves and start making toys out of ice and stone. Bob tells Mrs. Claus what's going on, and they get back to the workshop to see it split in two, and the two having a musical number of their classic song.
I'm Mr. White Christmas, I'm Mr. Snow, I'm Mr. Icicle, I'm Mr. Ten Below.
They call me Heat Miser. Whatever I touch starts to melt in my clutch. I'm too much.
This is the best part of the movie for sure. especially with Snow Miser swinging on the crane, is phenomenal. My favourite part has to be this moment though.
And let 'em freeze!
Uncomfortable with emotion?
They then start fighting again, so Mrs. Claus, Bob and Santa have a meeting on what to do. Santa mentioning the naughty and nice list gives the missus an idea as we cut to the Miser brothers in the control room, bickering over where to start delivering presents. It's stopped by Mrs. Claus, who takes them down to where they keep the naughty and nice list. As with the workshop, the machinery and concepts are very well done. And of course, this comes with a freeze frame bonus, with the cast and production members named on the list display. The archives are accessed and, without even looking, Mrs. Claus pulls up the Miser Brothers records and plugs them into the machine.
Look, that's us.
Of course, those that end up on the naughty list usually don't start out that way. When you fight, day and night, you know it isn't right, that we must live in harmony. Who is better than a brother? He's the best of all the others. Brothers should be friends.
This song is nice enough, though apparently the Miser Brothers we met in the original movie were younger in maturity than we thought, since their teenage versions look strikingly similar to their original designs, right down to the outfits. After this, they make up and begin to work together to make Christmas, with a catchy reprise of their song.
He's too much.
He's too much.
We're too much.
Too much.
This doesn't bode well with North Wind, who finally shows up again. He's going to make them fight again and put Christmas in danger and get rid of Santa when he leaves his castle to save the day. He shows off his outfit as one of his Christmas cards with his face on it flies out the window. This is important later. The brothers and elves are getting the sleigh ready to fly and are getting along, when the breezes show up and place traps under the sleigh. We cut to that night and everything is ready. They try to board the sleigh, but they get burned and chilled by the traps and begin blaming each other. Calming things down doesn't work and they begin to fight again. And we're right back to where we started from. Santa comes down the stairs and decides to take flight to deliver the presents, getting hit with that card from earlier on the way. North Wind sees him and goes after him. Back on the ground, while the brothers are still fighting, a screw falls off the super sleigh. Tinsel putting two and two together on what actually happened.
None of this would have happened if Hothead over there hadn't shot Santa out of the sky.
Me? You've always been the cold-hearted one.
It was neither of you.
These were unscrewed on purpose. This was sabotage.
But who would do such a thing?
They find the card and realize North Wind is behind the whole thing and that Santa is in danger. All hope seems lost, but Tinsel brings out the super sleigh, which they can use to catch up to Santa, using the foals to pull it. They take off without a hitch and go to save Santa. Sometime later, North Wind catches him first and tries to trap him in a vortex as his breezes unhitch his reindeer. Santa gets pulled into it when the Miser Brothers and Tinsel come to his rescue.
Santa! Hang on, sir! Easy, easy.
It seems like they're done for when the reindeer from before fly by and pick them up, saving them from certain death. North Wind tries one more time to get Santa, when Tinsel pulls the emergency parachute lever and traps him. They all make it safely back to the North Pole, and North Wind is punished by Mother Nature for his actions. Santa's back is still out, however, So the Miser brothers jump in to deliver the presents. We end on one last song, which is the same song from the beginning of the movie, with a little reprise, as they do their deliveries and see North Wind scrubbing dishes. And that's the movie. This movie was okay. It was simple and cute and easy to watch, certainly easier than our last adventure. The story is serviceable, the animation is pretty good considering it took 9 months to make. While the concept of the Miser brothers taking over Christmas is an interesting idea, I can see people not finding it all that believable, as the in-movie explanation of the two to take over isn't all that solid. The songs are pretty good, the Miser brothers song being the best of the bunch, for obvious reasons, and the creativeness of some of these scenes and props is always welcome. Overall, while others consider this one bad, and they have every right to, I like it a lot and it's overall pretty harmless. And that's all the movies for this series. I hope you have a good Christmas and I'll see you next time. Bye!
He's Mr. White Christmas, he's Mr. Snow. He's Mr. Icicle, he's Mr. 10 Below.
Friends call me Snow.